In the kingdom of Sprintavia, everyone was obsessed with being fast. Messengers dashed, bakers whisked, and even the royal gardeners pruned hedges at a record pace. The kingdom was ruled by King Zoom and Queen Zippy, who were terribly proud of their son, Prince Pace. Prince Pace was not just fast, he was the fastest. He could run from the castle's highest tower to the deepest dungeon before you could say, "On your mark." The prince was kind, but also very lonely. He needed someone who could keep up with him, a true partner in pace. So, the king and queen decided to host the Grand Sprintavia Relay, a massive race and party where the prince would hopefully find a companion whose speed matched his own. The announcement went out across the land. All young people are invited to the castle for the grand relay. The winner of the final race will get to be the prince's running partner for life. In a small dusty village on the edge of the kingdom lived a young girl named Cinderella. She did not live in a fireplace, but she did have a very busy and messy life. She lived with her stepmother, a professional organizer who hated clutter, and her two stepsisters, who were champion nappers and expert complainers. Cinderella's job was to run all the errands. She had to sprint to the market, dash to the dry cleaner, and race to return library books before they were overdue. She was, without anyone noticing, the fastest runner in the village. But she never ran for fun, only for chores. Her shoes were not glass slippers. They were a pair of worn-out, comfy, light-up sneakers. The left one had a small hole in the toe, and the lights on the right one flickered if you ran just right. On the day of the grand relay, Cinderella's stepsisters and stepmother put on their brand new expensive running gear. They shoved a long list of last-minute errands into Cinderella's hands. "Do not dally," they ordered, before racing off to the castle themselves. Cinderella finished the errands in record time. She stood looking at the castle in the distance, hearing the cheers of the crowd. She felt a deep sadness. She loved to run more than anything. Just once, she wanted to run for herself. Suddenly, a shimmering light appeared. It was her run fairy godmother. "I am here to get you to the race," she announced, her voice quick and bubbly. "But I am all out of fancy carriages and ball gowns. I only deal in speed." With a flick of her sparkly stopwatch, she transformed Cinderella's old jeans and t-shirt into a sleek, breathable running outfit. She pointed at Cinderella's sneakers. "And they are already perfect for running. Just remember, the magic wears off at the final lap. Do not stop running until you cross the line." And with that, the Run Fairy Godmother vanished in a puff of energy drink-scented mist. Cinderella took off towards the castle. She felt a magical spring in her step. She zipped past guards and weaved through the crowd, arriving at the starting line just as the final race was about to begin. The race was a wild, fun obstacle course. Prince Pace was in the lead, of course, but right behind him was a blur in a sleek running outfit. It was Cinderella! The crowd went wild. No one had ever kept up with the prince before. They leaped over mud puddles, zigzagged through a field of bouncing balls, and balanced across a narrow beam, stride for stride. They were neck and neck for the final lap. Cinderella felt the magic starting to fade. Her running suit began to feel like her old jeans. But she was so close. She pushed harder, her legs burning. Just as she crossed the finish line, a fraction of a second after the prince, she felt her left sneaker come loose. The flickering lights on the right one finally went out for good. She did not stop, disappearing into the cheering crowd to catch her breath. Prince Pace was amazed. He had finally found someone who could run beside him. But who was she? All he found on the track was a single, worn-out, light-up sneaker with a hole in the toe. The next day, the prince and his guards went from house to house, not with a glass slipper on a pillow, but with a sneaker held up in the air. "We are looking for the owner of this shoe," the prince announced. "The one who can wear this sneaker is the most wonderful running partner in the world." They visited Cinderella's house. Her stepsisters, seeing a chance, tried to cram their feet into the sneaker. It was no use. The sneaker was molded to Cinderella's foot from years of running. Then Cinderella, who was in the corner tying her other old sneaker, looked up. The prince saw her. He saw the familiar glint of determination in her eye. He walked over and, without a word, knelt down. The worn-out sneaker slid onto her foot perfectly. The lights, recognizing their owner, flickered back to life for one glorious, bright second. "It is you," Prince Pace said, his face breaking into a huge smile. She was not interested in being a princess, but a running partner? That sounded perfect. And so, Cinderella moved to the castle. She and Prince Pace spent their days racing through the gardens, exploring the kingdom, and organizing fun runs for all the children. She never had to run errands for anyone ever again. She just ran for the joy of it, in a brand new pair of custom-made, extra comfy, super fast light-up sneakers.